Good morning and welcome, wicked smart listeners. This is Chris Pre again with your weekly episode. We have a little bit different episode here today to help you guys position yourself to potentially start your own show. And I know that is the second I say that, it can be daunting. I remember when someone said to me, I was on a podcast once as a guest, and they said to me, "Why don't you have your own show?" I said, yeah, I can't do that. I don't know who would come, and I never had an experience. I just hemmed and hawed and imposter syndrome. And then come to find out, I could put the whole thing on autopilot. All I had to do is talk to great people like you. So this is going to be a special episode for you. I'm going to sit and chat with, on this Wicked Smart Masters class, Mr. Phil Better. You can't get a better name than that, Mr. Phil Better. Now, Phil started tinkering with podcasts back in 2014, but like me, he started his own show in 2017. I'm pretty sure, without me looking back, it was either 2016 or 2017 that we started. And so he specializes in what I learned without knowing in hindsight, what I learned about this world, which is it does help you establish authority. It helps you get indoors. It helps open up relationships. It helps form JV and different partnerships. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to have him walk you through why and what it is that he does and really, really give you some cool nuggets today to act on. And I'm here to help you. If you listen to this and you go, I don't know, I'd like to talk to someone who also went through that challenge of trying to start that and the imposter syndrome that goes with it, go ahead and book a free call with me. I just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/Chris free call. I'll talk about podcasting with you. I'll talk about roadblocks that you might have in your investing world. I'll talk about you leaving your W-2 if that's you, whatever the heck it is that you want to pick my brain on for the last 33 years of my experience, good, bad, and otherwise, I'm happy to share with you. So buckle in here while we bring you the next Wicked Smart Masters class. All right, guys, I want to make sure to remind you about our QLS Live event. We've been hosting this thing since 2016 in a basement, and now we have a brand new facility in Boston, Massachusetts. This year, 2024, it's going to be September 23rd and 24th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday. It makes it easy for travel. It is literally right next to the airport. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS Live and use the coupon code podcast50. That's going to give you 50% off. I'll see you there. All right, Phil, with that as a little backdrop, welcome to the show, buddy. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, when I was looking at the notes and thinking about our last conversation, I thought back to, I think it was 17 when I started this show, and that's probably when you started yours, thereabouts, right?
Yeah, that's about right. My first show was around 2017, yeah.
All right, so let's help these guys, the Wicked Smart listeners, understand kind of the background of why you think it's important for them to do that. Because when someone told me to do it, I thought everything went through my head, but I can't. Who would come to the show? I never did it before, imposter syndrome and stuff. So talk a little bit about that, just so they have some background and why they should even consider it.
So, yeah, with podcasting, like you said, you got that imposter syndrome that pops up. Who's going to listen? Where's my authority coming from? However, because there's so few podcasts already out there, and if you think about your niche, let's just look at the Wicked Smart, right? Just learning about how to be smart investors and smart business owners. There's already such a smaller amount. There's 4 million podcasts. If we go down each niche, each has probably only like 500 max podcasts in it. So you have this great ability to become the authority in your niche. So if you want to go into real estate, you can become the person in your state, in your city, for known to be about real estate. So you can teach people about how to invest properly or how to find properties, all that great stuff, all that knowledge you have. So you become this authority within a matter of days. And finding people to come on the podcast is ridiculously simple because so many people want to be on radio, and podcast gives that ability. And some will be great, some will be okay, but as you grow, you'll see how powerful it is because you can create a network. You have to look at in 2017. Sorry about that. In 2017, I started this podcast, and then in 2020, I started my second podcast, the Invest in Yourself Digital Entrepreneur Podcast, which, Chris, you've been a guest on a few times, and I'm a guy in Montreal. How am I meeting someone like Chris down in Massachusetts, or a gentleman named Knut Blackson, who is this huge guy in the self-improvement space for billionaires, millionaires, and billionaires? I'm like, who am I? This, like, how did this happen? And then you see really quickly that your imposter syndrome kind of drops away because everybody's willing to talk to you. Everybody wants to, in essence, use you to get their name out there through your podcast. So your imposter syndrome drops away when you're doing interviews because you're not the focus of the authority. You don't have to build that authority because you're getting your guests to come on and they're slowly giving you that authority to yourself. And then you can switch it up and then start going on podcasts and say, hey, I talked to this guy or I talked to this individual who helped me do this, this, and that, or has been able to do this, this, and that. And then you start coming off as an authority because you're passing on that knowledge to more people.
So a couple things. So the listeners would be, let's say, high-paid corporate, W-2 looking to leave, and current investors, realtor investors. So if they were going to start, because they say they have no idea, like I did, if they were going to start doing that, give them some, like, maybe the first 3 steps they might want to consider.
First 3 steps is, 1, who are you talking to? Are you looking to build your own audience so that you can say, hey, this is who I am, so you can become clients of mine? Or are you looking to educate people inside your niche? Like, Chris, you're teaching people how to become better business people, and move them towards your wicked smart, right? Like you drop in a few occasional real estate-based interviews so people understand what's going on. And then they're like, oh, wait, Chris has this wicked smart stuff and that is going to teach people how to become smarter. So you want to know, are you teaching people or are you looking to bring them into your area, like into your niche? Are you going to teach them or are you going to show expertise? After you've done that, once you know who you're talking to, your audience, then you decide, is it going to be a solo show or is it going to be a interview-based show where I'm going to talk to people who are somewhat smarter than me? In my case, they're a lot smarter than me because they've started businesses.
That's the idea.
And plus, you get these free masterminds. That's another reason why you want to start a podcast. You have free masterminds with individuals you interview. You get to ask them all those questions. But so, yeah, you find out who you're talking to. You find out if you're going to be a guest-based or solo-based. So am I educating or I'm getting people to educate? And then the final thing is, the name. The name really is, do you want to brand it for yourself, your business, or around your industry? And that's where you want to become name. And from there, you just reach out to people in your network that's in the same industry that fit the guest profile, if that's who your guest, if you're doing guesting, or you just record. You just record and you slowly get better over time. Your first episode's going to suck. The first episode, all my first
episodes, going to be worst,
are the worst episodes you'll ever do, but also they're their best episodes because they are the first ones you're doing.
Yeah, so you mentioned one of my questions was going to be the solo or the interviews. How about do it themselves or outsource? Because when I was on a show and someone said, go do this, he also referred me to someone that could produce it for me. So all I had to do is this, what you and I did on your show and another show. So what do you suggest with that? Or better yet, what was your journey and then what do you suggest?
So my journey, I started off fully independent. So I was doing all the work. And if you can and you have the time to learn, there are a lot of great AI tools out there that can help you with your editing part and get the content creation done so that you takes a little burden off. Back when I started, there was no AI tools. It was all manually. Yeah. You had to figure it out. So if you have the time, learn it. It's a great skill to have. However, if you can find an agency that can do most of the work. My agency, the Podcast Launch Agency, we help you launch the agency. We have a 30-day program that can help you go through everything, set up the system so that you're running smooth. You can find an agency that does editing for you if you just want them to handle the editing. You can hire a VA to handle all that stuff for you, and you get to do the fun part, which is what Chris and me are doing right now. It's just the talking. This is the best part. I have a client that he records 4 episodes, sends it to me. We take care of it, set it up for him, and then he's done for the month, or you can do weekly episode recordings as well for interviews, or you can be wicked smart and stuff them all in one day like Chris and I do.
typically when I do. Yep.
It's the best, but also it's sometimes tiring at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's basically today. Okay, so Phil, how about which niche they're in? Does it really matter? Or if they're brand new, they talk about both.
So if you're brand new, you do want to get niche down as small as possible. What I would suggest, if you want to stay, let's say we're talking real estate. Real estate's a vast market, and you're like, I don't know what area of real estate I want to be in. So you're like, I'm going to talk to everybody. So instead of just
let's assume they're smart and they want creative, and they want
creative. Okay, we're going to go smart. We're going to go creative real estate, but you don't know what style. Like, are you going to go into, residential, corporate, these types of Wicked Smart deals? So you're like, I'm going to just stay in the general Wicked Smart. Niche down into your area. If you're like, hey, I'm in California, okay, cool. You're niche down in California. Niche down to your towns, like the sub-state, like the district, whatever you want. Become known in your area as the go-to person for creative real estate deals. And at that point, that's where your authority begins. You don't necessarily have to niche down in the topic you're talking about, but you can niche down in the area that you're at. And if you are the only one talking creative real estate in California, in New York, in Texas, you're going to be the go-to person when someone searches, real estate California. Because you're already using your podcast, it's going to be bumped up. Like you put it on YouTube. If people search Google, they go creative real estate California, with YouTube being Google's baby brother, Google's going to push it up. And so that's what you want to do. You want to try and figure out where your niching can be. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the topic you're doing, because if you keep it kind of broad, like I do digital entrepreneurism, I could have niched down into, copywriting. I could have down into, website design, but I wanted to touch all that digital entrepreneur. So I focused on, okay, we're going to do investing in ourselves. So I niched down into digital entrepreneurship with people investing in themselves to become that digital entrepreneur. So there's different ways of niching down. Most people go, okay, just the topic, sub-niche, but you can sub-niche everything as part of the journey of what your podcast is.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the people, whether calling sellers now or not, let's just go with the real estate avenue you just did, that one of their people's fears is the phone. And so if they can establish themselves as the authority, have the phone ringing to them, that comes into play. It also comes into play when you're on the phone with sellers and you have that authority piece out there on the web. Because we critique calls, I hear live calls, and the people that can say they have the affiliation with the Creative Finance and Real Estate Association, or they have an affiliation with the podcast, that does add credibility. And you got, 10 investors calling that one seller. You just instantly differentiate yourself.
Oh yeah. It's the authority. Once you, like you said, like you hear it on the call, like you say someone, yeah, I just interviewed Chris, Prefontaine about this, that, and anything else on my podcast. I'm like, oh wait, you know Chris? Oh yeah, I've had him a few times on my podcast. Right there, it levels out any negative negative thought pattern that the person on the other end has, because they're like, oh, if Chris has trusted this individual, then this is a good person, or XYZ has talked to this individual. Their walls come down, the defenses start coming down, because hey, if someone at this level trusts this person, there must be something good about this person. There must be okayness that I can go forward with this deal or this venture forward.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's other benefits, but that you'll think of here in a minute. But I have one more that I think they should think about, and like your opinion on that, is the relationships or JV relationships that come out of these conversations. Because like we have an upcoming event, and there'll probably be, 5 or 7 hosts that have met on podcasts there just to check out what we're doing, whether it's for themselves or whether it's to bring back to their audience. Doesn't matter. The relationships, so many of them are built right here. What are your thoughts on that piece for them?
I think that is a hidden benefit of podcasting, because I've been able to be invited to about, I think, maybe a half dozen media events for events like your real estate convention, There was one in France I was invited to for a startup super cup from a guest. And it's like, I didn't even ask for this thing. They're like, hey, you were great. We would love to have you come on. And it's an added benefit because I'm going to promote it on my podcast. Like, hey, I'm going to be in, in the Boston area. I'm going to be in France. Anybody want to meet up? And they're like, oh, why are you in France? And then you start talking about the event, or why are you going to be in Boston or Massachusetts? You're going to start talking about the event, and that's going to bring more knowledge, more eyeballs to the event, because other people are going to be like, wait, Phil's going to be talking, or Phil's going to be at this creative real estate event. I definitely want to be there. I have some interest in real estate. And now my audience is slowly becoming your audience. It may not be 100% conversion, but 1 or 2% conversion is better than zero in my book. Anything over zero is a win in my book. Doesn't matter how small it is.
Yeah, so attendance and credibility and authority.
Yeah, everything all in one little bubble, which is insane.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, Phil. What didn't I ask you want to share with these guys? Any nuggets? And then secondly, can you let them know how to get a hold of you, obviously, too, if they need some help or lean on just for Q&A?
So what I want to leave you with is just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Even if you don't hit post to the podcast, the fact that you sat down and recorded means you got your first one out of the way. Just do it. Just try it out. It's one of the best networking tools by far. I know about a dozen people who say they've been able to talk to billionaires because of their podcast, and they never had a billionaire in their network. Like that is insane. Think about that, how you can grow your network, right? And if you're looking to get in touch with me, very simple. You can check out the website podcastlaunchagency.com if you're interested in launching a podcast. But if you want to listen to my docile tones and learn even more from digital entrepreneurs, just check out the Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur podcast.
Love it. And that's a write it down. It's a subscribe to, guys. I've been on it a few times. And then podcastlaunchagency.com. We'll put them both in the show notes. Phil, appreciate hanging out with you again. And I look forward to doing it again. And I look forward to seeing you in September, hopefully, at the event.
I am looking forward to finally getting to shake your hand in person in September, because it's been quite a ride knowing you, Chris.
Awesome. Likewise. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for being on.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, Wicked Smart listeners, that wraps up our time together with Mr. Phil Better. Go ahead and reach out to him in any shape, form, or fashion if you want to go ahead and get your feet wet with starting a podcast. And again, I can help you as well. I also would love to see you guys, because a lot of the podcast hosts actually come to our events. They love coming to events, again, because we've gotten so many cool relationships from these shows. And you get a chance to meet them. You get a chance to meet our students, and you get a chance to really dip your foot in the water of the Wicked Smart community. And that's at our annual QLS live event in Boston, Massachusetts on September 23rd and 24th. It's a Monday and Tuesday if I'm off a day or two on that, but it's that week of the 23rd or 24th for 2 days. And it's in a center called Convene, right near Logan Airport. You're going to want to be there, guys. I'm going to give you a 50% offer here. Just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS Live. Okay, that stands for the QLS Live event. And use the coupon code podcast50, podcast50. You get 50% off. We'll see you at that QLS Live event, and I look forward to working with you. I look forward to a free call with you if that's what you choose to do.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.